So today we are discussing about standardization. Yeah, standardization. I hope everyone would have already heard about this. The standardization is very important key role to play in the business. Okay, anything which you want to scale, anything which you really want to establish as a brand, standardization is one of the important stage or one of the important process in the whole process. That is what we are trying to explore today. क्यों जरूरी है? Why it is important? So starting with again why standardization is important, and in business how it is going to contribute. So why? Because I think in any of the situations, like in business or in profession, in personal life, whenever you want to achieve something, whenever you have something as a goal in front of you, discipline makes most important role to play. जब तक डिसिप्लिन नहीं है तब तक हम चीजों को सही तरीके से जैसा चाहिए वैसा डिजायर गोल तक नहीं पहुंचा सकते, and there is no substitute for it. So standardization brings discipline in the process. Standardizations give uniformity because we know anything which you want to make and reach to a perfection level. If you want to make something precise, perfection is going to come only when we are repeating the same thing and the same format in the same way. So uniformity is something very important when we are working on a standardization. Third is your process driven, because if you want to if you want to want to create an organization, if you want to build a corporate company, then obviously it has to be driven by the process. And process is something which is it's intellectual property, something which you are going to define. It is not a human being which have a emotion. It is something which you are defining ki aisa hi hona chahiye. So if it is driven by the process, it really works well. If it is not driven by the process, then obviously we as a human being have a multiple emotions, and it is all going to be dependent on our circumstances, our conditions. So we should not make a company which is dependent on any individuals or on the emotions level. और ये कोई नई बात नहीं है. Even big people, right from any stage, even if anyone who is a decision making, we know that his personal issues, his personal capacity, his personal all the circumstances can influence his decision also. But if it is processed by the process, then obviously it will run by that. जैसे हम कानून चलाते हैं by law, that even though if judiciary is observing everything is very evident कि गलत है या सही है, but as per the process, whatever is suitable, they are following it, and that is something which is called a process driven. Very important, analytics. Analytics is only possible if you are really capturing the information on a same format. अगर आप कोई चीज कर रहे हो, for an example, like in case if you want to capture that कि ये one of the train is coming every day and starting from the X and reaching to the Y, and at particular time it starts and at particular time it reach to that another destination. But अगर आप उसको analyze करना है कि in a month how many times they have failed, how many times they got delayed, how many times they have really run through in a different pattern. Obviously, unless you don't have that uniform standards, unless you don't have that right standards, we expect a lot from the other side. Like we know that we want कि train सही time पे आनी चाहिए, delivery हमें सही time पे मिलना चाहिए. We expect a lot when it is coming on the other side. But either we are also giving and delivering the same thing what in the business we are doing it. So we have to understand that अगर हमें सही standardization चाहिए, या if we really want to really identify the right gaps, standardization plays a big role into it. And the last one is your decisions, because decisions can be only taken one way. You can take a abrupt decision कि हाँ मुझे जैसा लगता है मैं करूँ, या फिर आप ऐसे decisions लें जहाँ पे आपको पता है कि हाँ this is going to be completely basis on my all analysis, and analysis will only come when you have a right standard process, and process will only going to give you results if you have a uniformity, and uniformity will come only if you are going to execute that through a proper disciplined format. तो ये पूरा sequence बनता है that if you want to take a right decisions, अगर आपके decisions सही होने चाहिए, if you really believe that you want to take the right decisions, and your results are always going to be dependent on what information, what decisions you are going to take. But information will come from your all the process, uniformity, discipline, and analytics. I think that gives a clear message that ये चारों everything is related and connected with each other. There is nothing like कि मैं disciplined हूँ but uniform नहीं हूँ. I'm process driven but I don't want to take a right uniform process. So everything is connected and everything is all together bringing a standardization to us. Exactly when we say what is the results which we are expecting and why we are not able to fulfill, it is nothing but just a gap between your planning and execution, right? Everyone does really work on a great plan. Everyone want to do something great. Everyone is starting with all their passion. They want to do great. They want a great results. Why they are not getting the results? Only because there is a gap between what you are thinking and what you are really executing. And that is something which comes from all this process, that if you are really working on all this standardized process, if you are really focusing on all the each and every point, then you can really get your right favorable results. So in case in your personal life, in your business life, career life, this plays a big role. In sports also, in any profession, there is no substitute of it, that you can simply get away from discipline, uniformity, process driven, or analytics, or a decision. How this standardization is going to make difference, so, and what exactly we want to do. So I will suggest that when we are working on a company, when we want to start a company, or when we are at the stage where we want to scale a business, what we all need to do to really ensure that we are completely uniform, we are completely on the right structured format. First thing, please draft your company identity. So I'm suggesting here, when you are building your company, many times we are not even forming a board. We are not even bothered that either my company does really have a company board or not. Who is my core team? Not bothered. So when you are starting a company, or even if you have started a company until today, if you have not done, please get registered your board. Decide that who is going to be a board member of your company, and all the identity of your company to be get resolved. You should know that my company logo is this, my company name will be this, my color combination will remain like that. Once you resolve it, that comes on a paper, and that gives you a lot of standardized situations, that any times, sometimes you are using some different font, sometimes you are using other color. That will not happen, because what you write get registered somewhere. So you have to get registered all your this company identity immediately, so you know that ये मेरा standardized process है, and no one can really go and deviate from it. So it is completely structured now. It is completely agreed and approved by everyone. Second, draft your all workflows. I think in the program also, we have really emphasized on this workflow program, because unless if your company is not having a right work processes drafted, then there is all possibilities that every individual is making their all efforts basis on their own all their own perceptions, or maybe whatever business acumen they have. अगर आपकी कंपनी में आपको पता है कि आपकी जो टीम है, now if you are having a departments in your company and you are hiring a people, and the people are deciding that उस department को कैसे function करना है, they are deciding that how this whole work will flow, then obviously you are not going to reach the same results what you are expecting, because you and your team is completely working on two different things. Yeah, only having a goal, a common goal in mind is not important. May you are simply giving a same picture to them कि okay हमें ये goal या ये target achieve करना है, but being an elder, being a mentor of the company, being a lead of the company, you have to show that complete path also, that everyone will go through the same path and everyone will follow the same disciplined method. Then only everyone will reach on the right time. Possibly there will be a tolerance of plus minus from one to another, but still the chance is good that you are going to make ensure that, like for an example, tolerances and chances of error will be there. But for like local trains, all the trains are running on right time. Maybe some trains are getting late by two in a few seconds. But without discipline, if they don't define that every local is going to be travel through one single route, then obviously chances will be much higher that the accidents may happen, some other problems may happen, and it will completely mess up. So if you are not having a workflows drafted, and if you think कि हाँ मैं अपने दिमाग में रखा हुआ है, I think that is where you are giving a loop and chance to really give all that in your team's hand to manipulate, to make a mistakes, and to really deviate from the targets. Third, draft monitoring methods. You should know that only assigning a job or delegating a job is not going to ensure that you are 100% going to get the results. Monitoring is one of the biggest area where maximum companies are lacking, and maximum managers are lacking. If you really want to be a good manager, more than allocation, monitoring is most important. You should know that how you are going to monitor it, and you should draft that methods from the day one and convey that very clearly at the time of execution or allocation itself. जब आप पहले स्टेप पे ही अगर अपनी टीम को बता देते हो ये आपका काम है और इस तरीके से आपको रिपोर्टिंग करनी है, इस तरीके से हम आपको ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं, आई थिंक दैट गिव्स मोर क्लियर मैसेज rather you are assigning a job to someone and then just waiting for all the issues to come when they want to really reply to you, then there is a problem, because then you are not really monitoring your performance. In fact, you are trying to invite the problem, and when the problem is going to come, you are getting engaged into the new challenges and issues. If you want to avoid that challenges, better है कि पहले से ही आपकी monitoring methods defined हो जाए, draft हो जाए. Then the roles and responsibilities. Unfortunately, this is too important. It is a very important stage, but still we are missing. काफी लोग मिस कर जाते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि हमें लगता है in the top management especially, and this is nothing to offend someone, but normally the more the senior people are coming on the same table, they hesitate to really share their roles and responsibility, or they hesitate to really pass their right information or inputs about what's supposed to be done by whom. Actually, that is something which we are somewhere we are really missing, and we are really taking a big challenges for our own self. If you are having someone on the on your board or on your company as a management team, even if it is a senior guy or a junior guy, he should know that for what purpose he is into the company, and know as a lead of the company, you should not hesitate to clear about his role and the responsibility, because unless he is not clear about it, and if it is kept open, the problem will come to you, because you are going to take the hit of it, and he is going to take the best advantage कि मुझे तो उसके बारे में किसी ने कुछ बताया नहीं था, और he must be thinking कि ये मेरा काम नहीं है, मेरा तो strategic support देने का काम है. Better, what is the strategic role, what is the execution role, and what is the further monitoring role, and every individual should have, वो clear होना चाहिए, and it has to be penned down. It should be get properly drafted in the letter, get acknowledged, so there will be no confusion. Because अगर वो confusion रहा, then obviously it is going to take all dent by the company, not by the individual. Individual में disputes होते हैं, सफर company करती है, या company को सफर नहीं कराना है, इसलिए everyone should know that what is my roles and what is my responsibility, what is my methods of monitoring. Journey of the stakeholders. If you really want to make a standardized process, I will suggest that just pen down that who all the stakeholders you have in the company. Yeah. So right from, for an example, for an example, you have a customer, and that is your stakeholder. Your vendor is your stakeholder. Your customer, your employee is your stakeholder. So you have to draft the journey of your all stakeholders. That will really help you. Consider, like, in case if you are saying, I want to reach to my customer, if you start drafting that journey of the customer, that how I will reach, create a awareness, because that is the first stage, creating a awareness first. Then second is the acquisition. Third is your proposition sharing, how you will propose that. So you are trying to convert him. Then the sales will happen, conversion will happen, retention will happen. Then maybe retargeting is also one of the stage. If you draft that journey well, at every point, you know that what exactly my company is supposed to do, what my department is involved into that, what action I'm supposed to take it, how I'll monitor that. So it's all about how you are going to micro down each and every department, each and every role. हर एक का छोटा छोटा माइक्रो लेवल पता होना चाहिए. लाइक है ना, फॉर एन एग्जांपल ट्रेन की हर स्टेज, हर प्लेटफॉर्म पे कैसे रुकने वाली है गाड़ी, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि this is going to reach at this point, it is going to reach this station. वैसे ही आपको आपके स्टेक होल्डर्स की, everyone, right from the staff also. Consider like today you are hiring a people. You should know that how you will find your right team. अगर आपको किसी एक पोजीशन पे हायर करना है, how you will find that person, how you will interview him, how you will hire him, how you are going to induct him, how you are going to assign a jobs and responsibility, how you are ensuring that he is taking the right responsibility, how you are going to monitor it, and how he is giving the results to you. So you know that the whole journey has been clearly drafted. And every point, whatever action is supposed to do, that is something called a transformation. That is called standardization. Now, if you just try to relate it, that if you have a right journey of your stakeholders, you know that how we are going to really use that all journey to draft right rules and responsibility at each and every stage. You are drafting a right rules and responsibility for everyone. Then you are drafting a monitoring method because you are given a role, so you should know that उनका काम क्या है और उनको मॉनिटर कैसे किया. Then workflows, you are giving that right flow and workflows to them ki how they are going to work, because it is not going to be basis on what they want to do. It is about that how company want to perform on particular workflow. So company is giving that workflow, and obviously all these things is going to create company identity. Yeah, because what you really show as a logo is not creating your identity. How you perform, how you do services, how you are going to act, and how you are going to believe, how you are going to behave. Everything as a culture is going to create a standardized structure of your company. That's how it is related to each other. If you are missing any one link, अगर आप एक चीज भी कोई छोड़ देते हो, if you are not drafting a workflow, your team is going to decide मेरा काम कैसे होना है. If you don't have a monitoring method, you cannot blame. आपका हक नहीं बनता है कि आप अपने टीम को ये कहो कि आप अच्छा काम नहीं कर रहे हो, because you are not monitoring. Because responsibility of monitoring your team is not their responsibility. It is your job. You have to monitor to ensure that at every point they are going on a right direction, and wherever the hand holding is required, जहां जहां उन्हें मदद की जरूरत है, as a mentor you are helping them. You are ensuring that कि मैं आपके साथ में हूँ, और this is a joint responsibility, because this is something which is as a lead to be supposed to done. That is something which is supposed to done. But in all nutshell, ये जरूर ध्यान रखना, when you are really drafting all this thing, don't try to complex it. Don't try to make it more difficult, because the process, systems, automation, everything what we are trying to implement in our company, it is only a single objective to make life easy for us and for our team. अगर हम उसको complicate करने की कोशिश करेंगे, then obviously it is going to not be accepted. एक तो शायद accept नहीं होगा, या फिर लोग उसे adopt नहीं कर पाएंगे. So it is our responsibility when we are drafting our process and systems and policy, we should involve all the people together and ensure that कि वो simple हो, आसान हो, और उनकी life में उसका कुछ benefit आना चाहिए. That is something called standardization. Now for an example, हम एक simple example की तरह देखते हैं. Normally we are really praising army. Why? You know, normally अगर if you consider this profession similar like any other people, yes, of course their job is tough. But for an example, if someone is going on the production side, तो manufacturing plant जो है वो कहीं दूर दराज में होता है, and they are spending all their whole day, they are working hard over there. It is more like that. But why army people are really being considered as a more noble and better version of any job profile? Reason being, I think they are just following the same thing on a daily basis. Yeah, वो क्या करते हैं? Because I am coming from the same army background, I know that every day they are waking up by 4, by discipline, with the discipline process. At right time, they are reaching to their ground for the practice. Whatever actions been given to them, they are simply following it without question. That is something called standardization. No question asked. Simply every day, whatever action been given need to be followed, and that really works. But because when there is a need to really utilize all that expertise, that strength really helps them. Otherwise, अगर आप सोचो, अगर वो standardization ना हो, uniformity ना हो, तो क्या हालत होगी? है ना? People may think कि जब जरूरत आएगी तब कहीं और ही भटक रहे हैं. So everyone follows same process results into discipline. Discipline is nothing but what? Discipline is something which you are defining कि हाँ ये मैं करना चाह रहा हूँ, ये मैंने decide कर लिया है, and repeatedly you are using that process. That is something called discipline. एक दिन में कर रहा हूँ, दूसरे दिन नहीं कर रहा हूँ, that is not called discipline. Discipline is about consistency. Build culture, trust and respect. Obviously, in any of the company, any profession, in your personal life, if you really have all the right standardization of your life, like for an example, you are waking up at the right time every day. If you are having, if you are taking your food on a regular right timing, that is something called discipline. And obviously, those who are really following it, they are taking up as benefit of it. They are really been and are seen as a disciplined people. They are seen as a more successful people compared to the unorganized guys. That is something. And those who are unorganized may get some success or may get some attention for some period. But in a longer term, we know that they are suffering for it. They are really taking some bigger issues in a longer term. Build a culture, trust, and respect. If you have a right process and systems, that will create a right culture in the company, that will create a trust in your vendors and to the market, and it will give a respect to you. That will definitely come and followed by it. So leaders set examples and team which follow win the battle. Simple and straight. So you have to set example from the top. It is nothing like that. You are simply expecting कि मेरी team तो सब अच्छा करे. They should come on the right time. They should follow all the process. लेकिन मेरी मर्जी है मैं जैसा चाहूँ वैसा करूँ. It will not happen. It has to be top driven. We people up to you and look up to you, and you have to set that example. Yeah, that is one example, a good example of this. Now everyone would be remembering that कि हम बचपन में हम sharpener use करते थे, है ना. उससे पहले हम blade use करते थे. We used to, है ना, use blade. I don't know nowadays the new generation, possibly they must have got sharpener very easily, but in our time sharpener was also a big thing, है ना, in some period. So we used to really use the blade and shaving blades and sharpen the pencil. We know that even that is also solving the purpose. Lekin after the sharpener is coming into place, then the uniformity, standardization, and whole thing has got changed. Now maybe the effort we were earlier what we were giving into it was high, which has got reduced down. We have managed to reduce time, and we have managed to reduce the cost also, because earlier we used to keep उसको छीलते रहते थे और वो ऐसी खराब हो जाती थी, पेंसिल टूट जाती थी बार बार. It is a very simple and very common छोटा सा example की तरह देख सकते हो कि if you are using a right process, if you are using a right tool, if you are using a right method and process, it will help you to reduce your efforts, it will help you to reduce your time, it will really help you to reduce your cost, and that all comes and give you a right uniform standards in the company. That is some simple and straight communication and straight message to you, that if you really want to build a good organization, because I always say you as a startup is not building a product, you are not building an idea, you are in a process of building an organization. And when you want to really build a great and good organization, you have to believe that it is going to be driven by process, systems, culture, values, not by individuals, not by independent one single thought process. अगर एक आदमी ही इसको चलाने वाला है, then it is not going to. It is going to be a more like a dictatorship. It is you have to decide कि आपकी कंपनी किस तरीके से फंक्शन करनी. So this is a simple lesson about standardization. So thank you for this. I am coming back, and the last simple breakup of, in case of standardization, is to be considered like standard plus action. And when we say about standard, of course the quality comes in our mind. Consistency is going to give a quality, no doubt, because in a normal one single bespoke something which you are creating, for that it is okay. For the company, quality, if comes with the consistency, is going to be called standard. Action, what is kind of a process you have, and what the process is going to be really executed in a uniform structure, that is your action is going to define. If this combination comes together with the quality, process, consistency, and uniform, that gives standardization.